John Long Silver Rails here. Today we're going to talk about a motor upgrade to a AHM Rivarossi 2880 articulated Mallet. This one here, labeled for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. What I have done is I have removed the old motor and I put in a more modern motor to see if it made much difference in the performance of the locomotive. Now here we have the locomotive with a modern motor in it, and we'll see it run. That's top speed. The top speed is about the same as it was with the old motor in it. You can see it operating on some of my previous videos when I had the old motor in it. This is the first time I've shown it with the new motor in it. Now, does it throttle down very good? Well, you tell me, what do you think? That's slow speed there. Not perfect, but not bad. Can I go a little slower? Well, see, it's stalled. Maybe because of dirty track. But that's pretty much the slow speed operation I'm getting out of it. Now let me show you how I did the upgrade. There's a little cover plate behind the bell. You flip that cover plate off, and there's a screw there that holds the upper part of the boiler in place. The second screw is down here. Right here. Kind of hard to see, but it's right there where my finger is. When it's out, this comes right off. Now the cab is sticking a little bit to the new motor because of its width, but it'll come right off, as you can see. And there's the new motor. I put this black tape over it simply to hold these two wires in place, and also because the new motor is silver, not black, it hides it a little bit. Now, the drivetrain runs from the armature through the first gearbox, out the first gearbox at an angle across here and into the second gearbox. Right here is a little screw that goes crossways, right in there. You take that screw out and this whole front truck drops off. Right here is another screw. You take this screw out and the rear truck will drop right off. The reason I said that is because there's a drive shaft or a U-joint, whatever you want to call it, that goes from the gearbox to the truck on both of them. And my locomotive had trouble. Sometimes it didn't work. It seemed to jam up and was clunky. So I managed to find on eBay something that looked like the right part, bought it, and sure enough, it will fit. Now the seller of this motor sells a U-joint that goes right here. I really didn't like it because the armature and the motor has a little flattened piece right there. It's flat, and on the gearbox shaft right there, he wanted me to cut off that little flat piece so what was left would be round to use his replacement joint, which I didn't like. I went to the hobby shop and I found this piece of flexible plastic tube. Looks like it's the right diameter, so I took a chance and bought it. And fortunately, it worked. And you can see it right here, right there. A little dab of glue on each shaft and it worked perfectly. Now, right here is the armature shaft. This piece of tubing has to stop before it gets to this black cradle here that the motor shaft lies over, because if it doesn't, this plastic tubing creates tremendous friction and will stop the motor completely from running. I found that out the hard way. So, having placed both lower drive shafts, the motor kit came with 5 of these little balsa wood shims. It took 4. They are right here, and the motor's resting on top of them. Right about there under the motor is a little screw head that sticks up. I had to cut that shim clear of it, and I carefully glued all 4 shims down and then painted the top one black. And then I used double-sided tape to hold the motor in place. It's pretty solid. If it fails, I'll just use another piece of double-sided tape because I didn't want to glue the motor down. So that's how I redid this. And of course I can put it all back together. I have to be careful because, like I said, the motor is just about the width of the entrance to the cab, and it will protrude slightly. So it kind of snaps in place, as you can see. I'm now in a position to put the whole thing back together. This is where I keep AHM parts, in this little box. If I need any of them, I'll be able to find them. Now, was it worth it? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't think it made that much difference. And the reason I don't think it made that much difference is that the drivetrain itself is kind of archaic and clunky. I have a new idea, but I'm not going to try it, and that's this. If you look at one of those later blue box Athearn diesel engines, they placed the motor in the center of the chassis, and they drove both trucks from it. They had a flywheel on each side of the motor and a gearbox. I have to wonder if that could be transplanted into one of these Rivarossi Mallets. Now, if I had a Mallet that was damaged enough, I would try that as an experiment, but I don't want to get involved in something that I may mess up and never get straightened out again. Just a thought, in case one of the viewers out there want to give it a crack and see if they can do it. The other thing is, these things are a little bit hard to get on the track, but it runs better than it did before, but only marginally. And I think the main reason it runs better is because I replaced those lower drive shafts or U-joints or whatever you want to call them. There she goes, folks. Top speed. Well, that concludes this video on how I remotored my AHM Rivarossi Mallet. Thanks for watching.